Today on The Real Fan Review, we go over Tom Holland's Spider-Man's arc in the MCU. Welcome to The Real Fan Review. What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. And today we got a good one for you. And plus, we got all four of the fellas here today. Today we're going to be going over the Spider-Man MCU, Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. And we're going to get you guys ready for Spider-Man Far From Home that's coming out this Tuesday. And, man, this looks like it's going to be a good one. So let me just introduce the fellas for you. We got Sanj here today.
Good evening, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to be with you.
We got B here today.
Hello, hello.
And it's funny for the Spider-Man thing. We got the man in the chair. We got Al.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes. And, as always, we always want to thank everyone for listening to our podcast, the listeners, the subscribers that are out there, across this country and also across the other countries out there. So it's awesome to see you on there. Remember, there's always a way to reach us. We are at therealfanreview.com. We are also the Real Fan Review at gmail.com. We were on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So if you like what you hear, follow us on those websites and those different social media platforms, and you can stay in touch with us there. And if I'm correct, we still have an offer for a free T-shirt there.
We still do have an offer for free T-shirts. The first 3 people to contact us, drop us their name, tell us what you like about us, and where we can send those T-shirts to, including your size. First 3 people will be sent to you.
There you go. So, guys, man, today we are 3 days away. 2 days.
2 days, because it's Tuesday night. Yeah.
So we're 2 days away from Spider-Man Far From Home.
This time, 2 days from now, we will probably have seen Spider-Man.
Yeah, man. So we're definitely going to get that in. And we'll also get you guys a review next week for that. So we'll probably record sometime right after we see that movie. So it should be great. I got a chance to rewatch these movies. And one of the things that straight off came to me was seeing the homages that ended up being paid off in Endgame. Because I rewatched Civil War was the first time we see Spider-Man.
That's right.
Then we get Spider-Man Homecoming. Then he's in Infinity War and Endgame. Those are his 4 movies that he's in right now. And it's crazy because watching Civil War, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched when Spider-Man came in. But even those little touches, some of the things that they said, some of the things that they did, even in the big airport fight scene that take place, like there's a scene where Clint goes up to T'Challa, and he goes, "Oh, we haven't been introduced." And he goes, "I don't care." Did I do the accent good?
Yeah. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I don't care. And then that's how he knows Clint's name in Endgame when they're passing around the Infinity Gauntlet. Spoiler alert. No, but for real, if you're not one of the freaking $2.7 billion that Endgame has earned, I mean, seriously, you're probably not caring about this podcast. So,
did it make it? Did it get to Avatar?
With the re-release this weekend, they're hoping to get it, but I don't know.
The numbers haven't come out yet.
Yeah, we'll find out Monday.
Weekend, right?
Yeah.
So, did you guys get a chance to rewatch it like I did, or just going off of memory kind of thing?
I rewatched Homecoming last night, and I watched the part from Civil War last night too.
Yeah, same here.
I didn't watch Infinity War, and I obviously didn't see Endgame, so I didn't catch up on where he was there. But I feel like I remember.
Me too. That's the same way I felt about it a bit.
Because he was only really in the intro for Infinity War. He was there until he dusted, but there wasn't so much
you
that
forgot
he
to say spoiler alert for that.
Oh,
spoiler alert!
4-year spoiler alert! I'm so sorry. And then, in the end game, he was only in the end. Spoiler alert! So sorry. So I feel like pretty caught up. Whereas I think the most important thing was seeing what he did in Homecoming and kind of understanding how Endgame left off, where it's gonna go forward with.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And I don't know, Al, did you get a chance to watch any of those, or did you just kind of because everything's pretty fairly recent?
Yeah, everything's fresh.
Homecoming, and then ironically, I had a little bit of extra time, so I rewatched the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I was giving the history
just
prep.
In case.
Just to see where did they come from, what was the different takes on him, and so forth, just so I can see where did we come from and so forth.
Gotcha.
And I definitely, although I liked and still respect the original, just watching it was funny because I said to my wife, I said, "This really looks low budget
compared to
now."
Because,
Like,
but
even
back
for
then,
the time,
because we saw it, you're like, this is awesome.
Back then you're blown away
Oh,
because
yeah.
Spider-Man's on screen.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Because one thing I noticed, and I don't know if it's because the TVs are so much clearer now than they were then, but like even scenes that they could have filmed in the setting, they green screened, and I was like,
You could tell right away.
yeah, oh yeah, now you could definitely tell.
I think my favorite
front of a
is
green screen.
the scene where Mary Jane is with Spider-Man swinging, and it's actually a mannequin
Oh, yeah.
of Spider-Man, and
Which
she's
one?
holding
Is
him.
that the Amazing Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man?
That's in
No,
the
Spider-Man,
that's
the
in the
original.
first
Original
Spider-Man.
first?
It's in the first
He
Spider-Man.
rescued her, and as he's swinging her away, like you could tell it's not even a person; it's a mannequin.
It's a mannequin.
Oh, wow. I gotta be
Meanwhile,
see
she's
that.
like looking at him like she's in love and everything.
I too love.
She sold it.
Oh man, now Sans, man. I mean, thinking about Spider-Man before we get into the prep there. So we had Tom Holland, we have Tobey Maguire,
And Andrew Garfield.
with Andrew Garfield. Is Tom Holland right now one of your favorites, or did you?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire, the original.
Yeah, because he was such a cornball.
He was Peter Parker.
Peter
He was
Parker.
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker
Yeah.
wasn't cool. Like,
Yeah.
come on, that was not cool.
Like, I wish they had written his lines a little bit more witty, because in addition to being a cornball, like, Spider-Man is pretty witty,
Yeah.
you know, like with his comebacks, with what he says, because he's a kid, you know,
Right.
so he's a little jerk, you know, a little
Yeah.
snot-nosed jerk, you know what I mean? So, but I wish they had written his lines a little bit like that, but
Yeah,
he was so corny. I'm like, he nailed it.
He
to
did
me.
play the wimpy person
Yeah.
for all three movies.
Right,
So,
right.
so he was very wimpy, all three of them.
How about
Yeah.
for you, B? I mean, out of the three Spider-Mans, which one do you like the most, or like do they all kind of like mesh?
I think with Tom Holland, they kind of really figured out how to make a working Peter Parker now. Yeah, I would say Tom Holland. I would
Tom
say
Holland
Tom
for you?
Holland's my favorite.
How about for you, Al? Which
Yeah.
one out of the three right now for you?
Tom Holland, I'll have to agree as well. Only because with the whole Spider-Man being from Queens and everything, you can believe Tom Holland is from Queens. Like the way he is.
Oh yeah,
Like just in the preview clips that they showed on the commercial where he's dealing with the cops. Like and they ask him, "Oh, you're going away?" And he's like, I got to do I got to do your job. Like
It's a New
having
York
that
quip.
smart. Yeah. So like you can see him being that character, whereas Tobey Maguire, he focused too much on being like, you know, the soft, you know, weak character. Although I like that they had Tobey Maguire's character be scientific, because even though I didn't like the fact that they made it that he was actually shooting the web from his
Yeah,
arms,
I didn't like
I
that
didn't
part.
like that. Like they
I thought that was weird.
yeah. But to have Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he doesn't seem like a guy who would have been able to make those web shooters, let alone his costume. So I felt like they strayed a little bit from that, or they don't stress why he's able to do that.
I feel we haven't really seen it because, like, even like watching Homecoming last night, you know, they do say he's at the top of his class. He's really smart.
Yeah,
you know,
'cause even when he
originally
wasn't
made-
paying attention to something, he figures out the
Yeah.
answer and stuff like that.
You know,
so
he
kinda
found a
show
way
that.
to hack into his suit with Ned, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, I think they just haven't really delved into that, especially after Tony gave him
They
the
expect us
suit
to
and
kind
the
of
new
just
suit.
assume it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just an assumption. I think, but he also kind of took more of a backseat once Tony gave him the tech. You know, even receiving the new spider suit in Infinity War, you know, it was just, here I have an AI who, you know, can lead me and show me all the things, instant kill mode, all that stuff, you know.
Right.
So I think that kind of took away from, you know, that smarter Peter Parker scientific approach. I do kind of hope that makes a way back, you know, without, I mean, I'm going to say it, without Tony Stark, how does he carry on making those things for himself?
Yeah,
I want to
looking
see how
forward
he
to that.
does that, especially with these elementals. And
Well, he still has
Mysterio.
he still has access to Stark Industries. Pepper Potts is still there. I mean, so
Yeah.
they're not gonna cut him off.
Yeah,
You know?
that's why I'm looking forward to this movie a lot, because I want to see where his character goes from here,
Yeah.
especially with the way Endgame ended with no more, you know, Tony Stark, and it's just
Spoiler alert.
good one.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we'll see. We'll definitely see, like, you know, where the story goes from here, and it'll be very interesting because I want to see how this Mysterio thing plays in, and like, again, Tony's death being a strong part of this movie.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, man. It's just giving my opinion on it. Out of the three Spider-Man, I do like Tobey Maguire, but I can see Tom Holland's character becoming the real Spider-Man from the comic books. he has the gadgets. You know, he has the high school look. He's in high school.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the reason why it's almost like a tie between Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland. I need to see this Far From Home before I can really decide because, you know, I got the 3 solo movies of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. I want to see just the next Spider-Man here because it's kind of like cement that this guy's my Spider-Man. You know?
Do you think we're going to get solo movies going forward, like without a hint of anyone else? The way we've kind of shaped this universe and
for Spider-Man or all the characters.
Well, I mean, like I feel like the way Marvel's been going with having these heroes, I feel like you can't not have a solo movie anymore. Like even Iron Man made his way and did something in Homecoming, you know. Mm-hmm. So like, do you think like we can have an actual just solo?
They almost,
Spider-Man
I think they
movie?
kind of like box themselves
where
in
no
there.
one else shows up.
Yeah, where no one else shows up.
I don't think you
because
really
then
can.
you have to gonna explain
Except Guardians
why.
of the Galaxy, maybe.
Yeah,
right, because they're out of space, they're doing their own thing.
Captain Marvel, you can probably have. It's just her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, even in her movie, I mean, Nick Fury was there, right?
Now, would you guys be up for? Because I heard. Now it was probably off the cuff, but I heard somebody ask Tobey Maguire. Not Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, and his response was that in regards to a live action Into the Spider-Verse, like where Tobey Maguire Spider-Man,
totally
and
down for
Andrew
that.
Garfield Spider-Man.
That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so it would be interesting. I think so far he's the only one that's given an answer like that. He'd be on board for it.
That would be really cool to see, man. Especially the way they pulled off the what is it? Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Oh man, the way they
And it was
did that one, that was really
Tobey
good.
Maguire's Spider-Man who was the one in the beginning, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh wow, I didn't know if it was the same person.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought-
that's
Yeah,
Tobey
that was
Maguire's
because
grown up.
he did the whole things where he went through his movies.
Yeah.
And when he's telling his
train,
story,
the train,
and
the
then when
crash,
his stupid dance.
for Spider-Man 3. Oh my god, man. All right, man. So listen, we got the like the intro of all the Spider-Man stuff really quick. So I guess we'll get into this. You know, right now the recapping of Spider-Man Tom Holland in this MCU, and we start off with Civil War, man. So Civil War is one of the best MCU movies out there, in my opinion. It's
Absolutely.
definitely in top 5. And in that movie, we pretty much get to Tom Holland with Tony Stark pretty much telling. I think he was talking to Scarlet Witch, saying that she had a backup plan that was downstairs, because I guess she was gonna go get T'Challa to be part of their team to go get all the Captain America and all Black Widow. I always mess the two up, right?
Yeah. I was like, wait, what side was she on again?
You know why? Because she's Scarlett Johansson, and then she's Black Widow, and then Scarlet Witch. So what's it called? Tony goes to Queens. And we get our introduction to Tom Holland, and he's there with his Aunt May there.
Now, the evolution of Aunt May, from like,
hey,
hi-oh.
Right, from the granny that's in the comic books,
and then it was in Andy Garfield's movies. It was Sally Field, so it's like older auntie, right? And now it's Marissa Tomei. Like, hey, Marissa Tomei.
But you know what? It makes sense because it's like, is she Aunt May or is she Grandma May? You know what I mean? So
I've always asked the same question because even every cartoon and in the comics, she's always a lot older. It's like, how much older was your sister? Like, because that's his aunt. So it's just like, compared to his mother, like, how young was she? Like, because Aunt May is Grandma May in the comics, and
they made it more. They made it make sense more. With Aunt May.
Yeah. Now she's
but even in the movies they highlighted it's like your incredibly hot aunt.
When the deli keeper was talking in Spanish, she was like, "Yeah, she's the hot Italian mom. She's the hot Italian one down the street."
It's too nuts, man. But what's it called? Back into Civil War. There, we meet them. Tony Stark goes to him. And apparently, it looks like Spider-Man's been Spider-Man for 6 months. So he just learned his powers or whatever. Mm-hmm. What did you guys think of, like, Tony Stark having that video? Did he really get it from YouTube, or do you think that he maybe was wise to him and just keeping track of him kind of thing?
You never know with Tony Stark because he's enigmatic like that, where he probably does have eyes on and ears everywhere, right? But at the same time, he's hip enough to be on YouTube just looking at stuff.
I feel like it was like a whole accident. I feel like he was like, huh. He was like, look at this kid on YouTube.
Or he could have had an AI looking out for weird stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, just watching for videos of weird things, and it pieced it together. So,
but it kind of fits with this whole Tom Holland Spider-Man thing, you know, where he would be the one caught on YouTube, like, you know, he would be that guy.
No, the funniest is because it's kind of like the YouTube thing in Homecoming. He's like doing something, and there's this guy with like a high pitched voice. Tells him to do a flip.
Yeah.
Hey, don't flip! Die laughing, man. But you know we. I'm sorry. You know, but what's it called? We get into the next part of Civil War is when he actually he gets into the battle there in Germany.
Right.
Now, we're gonna have to discuss this one more time because I know we mentioned this before. Does this guy say on the roof or under ruse?
I keep
on
hearing
the roof.
under ruse.
I hear under ruse.
On the roof.
And then also in Homecoming, in the beginning, he goes, and then he called me under ruse. He didn't say on the roof. And I'm like, so you're saying on the roof?
On the roof.
I could have sworn he said under ruse, making fun of the costume.
Me too. I think under ruse. What did you hear?
I don't even know. Like I feel like it goes back and forth between on the roof or under roof. Like because like the way he says like on the roof, like, you know, it's just like the way he says it. Like I'm like it would make more sense to be on the roof.
Just the meter of what he said. He didn't see under ruse is under ruse. On the roof. Right? And to me that's what it sounded like. It's
But what does on the roof mean?
Hey, you're up there, like, dude, on the roof.
No, because if you watch it,
he wasn't on the roof. He was on top of a car.
Yeah, he was hiding behind a cart or something because he was setting up the
That's
camera.
why I'm like, I go back and forth, man. I can't figure out what he's actually saying.
We're gonna have to go watch Civil War and put
closed
subtitles, captions on. Put those closed captions on. It's gonna have question marks.
Somebody get Robert Downey Jr. on the phone.
There we go. That's what we got to do. Now, when we first see Spider-Man on the screen with the outfit there, Sanj, what's your take on that Spider-Man look? Did you like it? Did you appreciate it? Did you want that?
Wait, you talk which one?
Civil War. So he shows up for the first time on the roof or under ruse.
Yeah. No, I like
it. Takes the shield
because it looks like the Spider-Man uniform. You know, the Spider-Man costume that we're all used to.
Right.
You know,
right.
I liked it, loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Brandon?
I mean, I felt like it was the comic book Spider-Man that we're finally seeing. Like, you know, when we first saw Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit, we all thought it was really, really cool. But you're like, yo, how did you make that? Like, how do you stitch that together? Because that's a really nice looking material. So I feel like this is...
It left nothing to the imagination.
And so I feel like this suit like was exactly what we were waiting to see. Like, finally, the comic book Spider-Man suit.
Right.
Yeah.
How about you, Fal?
No, I like it to the fact that it stayed to the realism. Like the web shooters, the web shooters,
that was a big
and
deal
the
for me,
packets.
too.
Like you saw each of the little canisters around the wrist. I like the fact that it had the eyes open and closed, like to convey like what he was thinking, and the way it did in the comics. Like in the comics, even though it was a suit, his eyes would squint.
Yeah, did it have eyebrows too?
Yeah, it looked like it would tilt and stuff. Like so, you saw his emotion, his reaction through the eyes. In the comics, and they brought that onto the screen, so I like that little touch really cool. As well.
Yeah, man, I definitely like the costume, especially seeing it again like not for the first time, for like the maybe 10th or 12th time I've seen Civil War. I saw it again, and I was like, wow, that was a really cool entrance there, man. Yeah. And then we get Spider-Man right there in the Civil War. He goes after Bucky and Falcon. They have their little interaction, and then we get the Spider-Man quipping for the first time, which is awesome because Falcon's like, do you know you're not supposed to talk in a fight? So it's like so awesome, man.
Now the part that cracks me up is because is what made you realize he is a kid.
Yeah, because he's not taking it as serious.
He's not taking it serious, and then when a soldier goes to punch him, and with one hand he stops the punch and looks, and he goes, "Do you have a metal arm?" Like, like. He did usually. Meanwhile, you saw him throwing Captain America around with that arm, and here he is. He just grabs it and just like a kid. He didn't even realize the
what was going
on.
Yeah, how serious
situation.
did it? Yeah,
he just got more shocked that the guy had a metal arm.
You about to get your ass handed to you, bro. Like
it was cool, man. And like again, seeing him in action, he was crawling, he was web slinging, and he was shooting the web shooters, and it was really cool. And then he met up with Cap on the field, and it didn't go so well.
Well, I mean, that was a cool exchange that they had, and they were talking like, where you from? Like,
yeah. Dude, the Queens Brooklyn thing.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I would have paid money to be in Brooklyn watching that movie when that scene came on. Can you imagine?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. That would have been amazing. It's like, where you from, kid? Queens. He didn't even say I'm from. He goes, Brooklyn, with the head nod, which you guys can't see me doing. It's a head nod right now. And it was just awesome to see that, man. And then, you know, they make their way to try to get out of the Civil War there because they were fighting and they were really trying to get to the Quinjet. And Ant-Man does the unthinkable, becomes Giant Man, which we hadn't seen, and it was so awesome to see. He does the takedown, but he gets hurt in the process. Yep. And Tony tells him, "You're done. You're done." And that's it. And that's where we lose Spider-Man from that rest of that movie, from Civil War.
Shuts him down.
Yeah, shut him down right there. You know, and the fact that he put a 14-year-old into that
mix is a little crazy. It's a little suspect on Tony's part.
But, you know, we didn't know how serious it was until we get to Homecoming.
Yeah.
And that was cool because in Homecoming, it starts off with how he got involved into the whole, you know, the Civil War part of it there.
And before we leave Civil War, I just want to remind, it was a good touch to show about how he does the pop culture references. Because the way he gave them the idea of bringing down Ant-Man, he goes, "Did you guys ever see that movie?" And then it's wrap around the legs like from
from the AT-ATs in Star Wars.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And then takes us to his other when he says, "Did you see that movie?"
I think he always says that old movie too.
War.
Like he always goes that old movie. You ever see that old movie?
The bastard old movie. And just for my own geek knowledge, Al, is that the Battle of Hoth?
Yes.
Oh!
Empire Strikes Back.
Score. Oh man. So then with Homecoming, after they show us pretty much how he got involved into the fight with Captain America and Iron Man and all that, they come home. He gives them the suit. He says, "You can keep it. Be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." And then what's cool, again, the homages.
Homage?
Jesus, the homages. There we go.
This is the French way of saying homage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, appreciate it. So technically right. But it was so cool because he goes to get the door and Holland thinks it's a hug. And he says to him,
not a hug.
It's not a hug.
Not a hug.
But he also says, "We're not there yet." Which is then, another cool little touch to the end of Endgame there when he does hug him, you know? And it's just, like I said, the little nods that you see from those different movies.
There's a
that
lot
pay
of
off.
nods in this movie.
Yeah, Endgame had it. And they paid off almost all of them, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane. But anyway, after the little get back into the movie there with the Spider-Man there, it says 2 months pass, and he's supposed to be waiting for either a phone call or he's waiting for something to come back from either Happy Hogan or from Tony Stark, because he thinks there's another mission coming soon. You know, more
That's
homework.
a Stark internship.
Yeah, so he's like leaving school like the minute the bell rings and everything, and he's trying to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's texting everything that he does. You know, which is cool.
Replies back.
Right. But, you know, it was really cool to see him in Queens, you know, because you get the vibe of Spider-Man in Queens. He's talking to the neighbors. He's buying a deli sandwich, you know, and he's talking to the guy, the deli counter owner. And it's just awesome to see, man, in that whole environment, the whole school and everything like that. And with that Spider-Man, I don't know. For me, I really enjoyed that movie a lot. I thought it was well made, and even watching it over again, I was still like invested in the movie because it was really, really good.
Didn't really have anything dull.
No,
not even a dull moment. Just kept going.
So much action and all this stuff like that.
And then it wasn't a bigger threat. The threat didn't seem disproportionate to the hero. Yeah, you know, like a lot of some of the other Spider-Man movies, the threat does seem disproportionate to Spider-Man, like, and his powers and his abilities. So that was cool too. It all fit together. Like, this is something Spider-Man would actually be dealing with. You know, not like the end of the entire world. Yeah. You know?
Absolutely, man. And what did you guys think of the Vulture in that movie? I mean, I know the costume, and even the guy who plays Vulture,
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. What did you guys think of like the Vulture's take on that movie and everything?
I think that was probably the best interpretation we will ever get of the Vulture. You know, because like when you think about his comic book comic book look. It's a guy in a green suit with the wings attached, and you're just like, you know, they were supposed to do that in the in the Spider-Man 4 movie that was supposed to happen. It's just like you thought about like how are they gonna make that work and not look super corny, you know? So to have the guy, you know, have that cool leather jacket and have those wings the way they were, I think that was the best look we can get, especially with the mask. I think that was probably our best look. Yeah. And I love that Michael Keaton played him. You know, especially when. Didn't Michael Keaton had just did that movie? Was it Birdman? Was it Birdman? Yeah. He was also Batman.
I thought it was really cool
like,
too. Yeah.
Just keep playing those wing characters, but dude, like, you got it.
And the way they used him as a collector of the wreckage from the battles and everything.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That's
cool.
To really bring Spider-Man in that universe. Like, okay, this is what happens after the battles.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And not only that, doesn't damage control.
Everything doesn't just get cleaned up all nice, like,
yeah,
you know, and then 2 months later everything's like it was before,
right,
or anything like that.
It shows you like the after effects. Besides like Civil War doing that, like Sanji just said, you know, you see that there's stuff that's happening. There's stuff that also the cleanup process, which also is also cool on the play of Vulture, right? Because he's scavenging the stuff there, which was awesome, man. And I you know, how do you think what do you guys think about like that movie? Like, what role did it play, or what role will it play in Far From Homecoming?
The movie in itself?
Yeah, like, because I mean that whole movie was pretty much just like a little solo Spider-Man little tale. It was not, like Sanjay said, it was nothing extravagant, nothing crazy that happened. He stopped, you know, Vulture from taking the Happy Hogan's plane with all the supplies for the new Avengers area. So he basically stopped that, but there was nothing really major that happened that will really affect
carry over.
Yeah, carry over to the next movies.
The only carryover I want to see, or I'm hoping to see how they explain, is the fact that with the snap and the decimation, did they all get killed and then they all came back?
For plot purposes, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because how are they all still the same age? Because supposedly 5 years passed from the decimation. So I can understand Peter and being his same age, but did they all, because they're all going on this school trip,
right?
You know, so if you're bringing all of the same character of his friends from the school, that means that I guess you're gonna have to make it that.
Well,
there's 5 boroughs. Like, you gotta choose which one's got it snapped. Brooklyn's gone. Staten Island's gone.
Well, his friend, his best friend,
Ned
did get snapped away, right? Because he was looking for him when he came back, right?
Well,
Peter wasn't even on planet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they never showed it, but I guess you can kind of assume it because they met up at the end of Endgame. You could see Ned with Spider-Man.
Because they're introducing new characters as well. Like, you know, Zendaya wasn't in the first.
She was.
Yeah,
that's Mary
and I
Jane.
missed that.
His whole crew's back.
Okay. So then they all got snapped away then.
Yeah.
For all
they'll explain that right
purposes.
away. That's what probably have to be the first like 5 minutes is gonna be like them explaining like, oh yeah, it all happened to all of them. I mean, because we saw Flash in Homecoming. We saw Ned. Zendaya she said her name was Michelle, but at the end she said her friends call her MJ.
Yeah.
And from the commercials for Far From Home, I think they show that Ned has a girlfriend. There's like another two new people that I didn't see before. So I mean, I guess we'll find out more about Far From Home then when we see it, because I stopped watching all commercials of Spider-Man last week. You know, and it's crazy because you go on YouTube right now and there's like post-credit scenes, spoilers already, and I'm like, I'm done. That's it. I only got 2 more days.
Yeah, I saw videos of somebody explaining the post-credit scene.
It's ridiculous. Like, dude, hold off, man. Jesus, just wait 3 days, dude.
Nobody's seen it yet but you. Like,
come on, man.
Interesting enough, in Far From Home, like it just hit me, like we were talking about, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal as Spider-Man, like, and now here he is in a Spider-Man movie.
Right.
They were saying that Marvel's always been interested in Jake Gyllenhaal. They were trying to find the right role for him.
They're also every movie that comes up, they try to find a way to get Keanu Reeves in it too. Like, they're trying hard. I saw some art that showed what he would look like as
Wolverine.
Concept for Adam Warlock.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that might be I'm hoping that's the one.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm hoping that's the one that gets Keanu Reeves.
I heard they
into
wanted to get what's that guy's name that was in the beach movie with The Rock? When they run on the beach in slow motion.
Oh, Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. They wanted him for.
You talking about Baywatch?
Yeah,
The
that's
movie,
it.
They would run on the beach with the ocean.
I've never seen Baywatch, man. Never. Not even the TV shows. Nothing.
You should.
But wait,
should.
I'm
but
just
if you
seeing
put
him
him as
the new
Adam
Groot.
Warlock, how does he say whoa?
We'll find a way.
Because I think he writes that in his contract.
We'll find a way.
He's got to say whoa.
I think he's gonna become the new Groot. Like, I am Groot.
That'd be awesome, man.
Trinity. I mean, I am Groot.
Groot no kung fu.
Groot need guns.
Oh man. So I mean,
We need Groot. Lots of Groot.
Let's see here, man, because I'm trying to figure out. Like I said, rewatching that movie, the only thing that I think could possibly be taken away from Homecoming into Far From Home would be the characters that we introduced to, because the villains were Shocker was in that movie.
Shocker.
The beginning stages of Shocker, at least,
Yeah.
right? Then we also have Matt Gargan?
Matt Gargan, which is Scorpion.
Which is the Scorpion. We got the Vulture in jail
Yeah.
and Scorpion in jail at the same jail.
3 of the Sinister Six.
So, I don't know if they'll play into this movie. There hasn't been anything said about Keaton or the guys who played those other bad guys.
Even a cool thing like that girl Liz, that was his date that ends up being Michael Keaton's daughter.
Uh-huh.
Maybe she takes a turn for the villainous side of things after, Spider-Man puts her father in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a cool plot point,
man. Because other than that, it was just a good Spider-Man story. So
what about when Michael Keaton opened the door for Peter? That was the moment of the whole movie there.
Was it you who went with me? Me and you
Yeah.
went to see it, right?
Yeah.
The whole theater gasped when he opened the door.
Oh,
Yeah, that was kind of crazy because it was like during a montage of him just going through high school stuff, just figuring things out, and then all of a sudden it was like a bomb. Opened the door and it's just like, whoa. That's okay. That's crazy. But
and then the car ride.
Oh,
when they
that was
dropped him
so
off,
bad.
he's like, "Hey," he's like, "really cool, playing it cool." He's like, "But if you mess with my business again, I'll kill you." I was like, "Yo,
Wow.
I'll kill you dead.
yeah, I'll kill you dead."
not just I'll kill you, you'll be dead. I'll kill you and I'll kill you dead.
Yeah,
as only Michael Keaton can deliver it.
Yeah, man. He's insane, man.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome,
I
man.
like
Love that
the
kid.
Miles Morales kind of nod in there.
Yeah, from Prowler.
Yeah, from Prowler as what's the rapper? I keep forgetting his name.
He's in it.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
He plays Aaron Davis, who's the uncle of Miles Morales.
Yeah.
He says that nod. He goes, "Oh, I got a little nephew running around this neighborhood."
Yeah.
He was like, that's the nod there. That was a cool scene there.
Yeah, man.
Especially when Spider-Man webs him to the car, and he's like, "Yo, man," he goes, "You let me go?" He goes, "Nah, man, you're a criminal. You deserve this." He goes, "It'll dissolve in 2 hours." He's like, "Come on, man." He's like, "Sorry, you're a criminal." That was hilarious.
Oh, man. So I hope we get to see more of the Prowler in there, man. But I from what I'm reading out here is that they're trying to get Childish Gambino actually to be in Black Panther 2 as the villain. So we'll see how
that'd be
that.
interesting.
Oh, wow.
Let's see how they play that out there.
You think? Are they bringing? I mean, it's already done. It'll be out Tuesday. But any talk of Gwen Stacy or her?
Not
father?
just yet. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but they could surprise us, man. I haven't heard anything about like even because this movie is more of a take of right now, and newspapers aren't as big as they used to be. There's no real calling. They didn't show him with a camera, so he's not a photographer or anything like that. But maybe that's
and if
something
he's
they could
already
take
with
on.
MJ, because MJ came after Stacy, so
Yeah.
they already skipped.
So
it
I don't know.
too.
They might be skipping a couple of things there. I haven't seen the newspaper.
I kind of hope that they do skip the Gwen Stacy part, just because she has to die, and that was kind of heavy.
Yeah, in the
That's when
Amazing
they did it
Spider-Man,
in
that was
Spider-Man
crazy.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough.
That's why I didn't like those movies. It was just really heavy, and then the whole interaction between him and Gwen Stacy's dad, and then even afterwards when she died, how he kept seeing the dad pop up everywhere, like he's like haunted by him. Like that was just like way too heavy for a Spider-Man movie. Like that's not what I'm looking for.
I hear you, man. I mean, listen, that's why we all were like Tobey Maguire and and Tom Holland. Those are our Spider-Man.
And the thing, I think that it's kind of unfair to Andy Garfield because I think he played the part well that they asked him to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a Spider-Man that I liked.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he did a bad job doing what he was supposed to do.
Mm.
I get what they were supposed to do, but what they were trying to do, and I just didn't like it.
Yeah, no.
I think it kills me that they always get so close to having a Sinister Six, and we never get there.
Hey, listen,
We
if
get
anybody
so
could pull
close.
it off, would be Marvel, man. But I don't know if they want to do that yet. You know, they'll probably be saving that up for hopefully next. Because according to what I know,
build up.
it'll be a good build up. But I thought Tom Holland only had this is his last movie.
He said he's willing to play the character as long as he can walk. So I mean, he's contracted 5 movies.
Yeah,
But I think
But-
Sony's
yeah.
taking it back after this, right? Or
Sony, I
We
don't
don't
think
know.
Sony's gonna give it up because they know Marvel has the money to make it popular, and Sony's gonna get money from it.
right. Because all they're doing is promoting and
They're
releasing
just
it.
promoting and releasing
They're
it.
letting Marvel do all the work.
Mhm. Marvel just runs the characters by them. They go, yeah, sure, you know, and then
Yeah.
they get paid. So I
Nuts.
think Sony's gonna be, as long as we keep getting money from you, we'll keep doing it because Tom Holland's down with doing it.
That's awesome. I mean, I hope to hear some news about the future for him because, again, this is supposed to be his last movie under contract.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any word whatsoever what's going on after that. So hopefully we'll find out something new. And then in regards to like the whole Tom Holland storyline there for his Spider-Man in the MCU, we now go to Infinity War, which was another amazing movie. So in that movie, we get Spider-Man right away, early in the New York battle with Tony and Doctor Strange,
Yeah,
and
he jumps in quick.
so awesome. Hey, Mr. Stark, what's his issue? It's just so crazy. He's like, oh, he's trying to get a what did he say? He said something about like he's trying to take a stone from a wizard.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, okay. And it's just awesome to see, like, again, you get the Spider-Man with the quips, the quick comebacks, and just the way that he
and just
talks.
being a kid too.
Yeah.
Exactly, man.
That naive, you know, way about him, you know.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Tony Stark is boss. Like that's basically what it's like. Hey, boss. Like what? How are we doing here, boss? It's like
just-
Pinky in the Brain. Hey, brain.
And what'd you guys think
Okay,
of?
Wayne.
Oh, hi, Brian.
Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah, Brian, I don't know how to get my left shock off. I'm like, what?
Pinky, you idiot.
But what's it called? What'd you guys think of the Iron Man, the Iron Spider suit that came out? Because it's not like the original suit from the comic books, not
Yeah.
red and gold, but it definitely looked good. It's definitely an Iron Man suit. It definitely,
It was cool.
yeah, right.
It was really cool to see, especially when the arms came out and everything like that. I think it was a cool way to give him a new suit. If you're used to the comics, you know, you saw the Hall of Suits and all that. He always had a different suit for something, especially when they started changing comic taglines to amazing, you know, and everything like that.
Spectacular,
Spectacular, amazing, superb. What was the latest one when he became Octavius? Took his body. It was like the Supreme Spider-Man. Like it was all these names, and they always gets a different suit, you know. And then every now and then from the Secret Wars, he got the Venom suit, and you know, so it's always cool to see the Spider-Man suit. So to have that kind of come out like that too was really awesome to see, like a brand new suit.
Yeah, what do you think out of the Iron Spider suit there?
I like the look. I like the concept because it explained a lot. Like, okay, the ship he just stowed on is going into space, and he was still kind of outside. So the fact that it was an iron suit and not just a fabric suit explained how
Yeah,
he was able to
he would've
survive
died.
it. Exactly. The only part about it I didn't like, and I think that's what accentuated for me that they weren't showing Peter as being the person who's making his stuff. It was more like it was being given to him, and he was like that kid that just knows how to use an iPhone.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like he just, because he's smart, he was learning quickly, but
He wasn't developing his
But it
tech.
wasn't showing that he was like as smart as he was supposed to be.
Right.
Right, yeah, because it came off almost like I told you guys before regarding like this whole Spider-Man iteration that they have here. It comes off to me more of a junior Iron Man than a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, he has the AI and telling him or
Yeah.
helping him, you know, throughout the process of fighting these villains and doing, you know, figuring out what to
Yeah,
do.
like when he did kill mode and all that
Exactly.
stuff. Like it came off like he didn't know. Like he didn't have that analytical mind that I would have thought like a Peter Parker who was making web like and advancing the chemical breakdown to make it stronger and everything.
Yeah.
And he's having trouble figuring out vocal commands on a suit. Like it didn't strike me like that. It was just off for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Who's
So
this
just-
AI? Karen, right?
He named it Karen. Yeah.
Yeah, you can call me Karen. Like, can I call you Karen? Yeah, you can call me Karen.
Oh, my God.
But otherwise, no, it was great. I thought it accentuated his abilities.
Yeah.
You know, so it just came off real good.
Yeah, and Sanj, I know you used to look at some of the comic books or read the comic books there for Infinity War and Spider-Man before these movies came out. So did you mind the change of Iron Spider-Man from being the suit that's red with the gold to this new version of the Iron Spider suit?
I didn't mind that at all because the suit with the red and gold to me looks more like an Iron Man suit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it would play way into what you were saying about him being a junior Iron Man as opposed to being Spider-Man.
Right.
Because that suit didn't even look like a Spider-Man outfit. It's only that you knew that Spider-Man was in it. It didn't even look like a Spider-Man costume. So I like that they kept the color scheme of the Spider-Man costume that we know, so that it could be. Mm-hmm. He could be easily identifiable as Spider-Man. You know, since there was such a departure, like Al was saying, from the character and how his tech was handled. I like that they still kept his look more Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, and when we get into the space and he gets into the ship, you know, we get to see the Spider-Man suit and looks really good, and he's doing all these different things with it. And I think the first time he actually got to use the Spider-Man suit was in that trying to save Doctor Strange from Ebony Maw. And again, another reference to movies. He brings up Aliens. Yeah. You ever see Aliens? And the kid's like, no more references. Oh, man. So funny.
Hi, my name's Peter. What's yours? Doctor Strange. Oh, we're using our made-up names?
Yeah, and that's another thing. How come he tells his real name to everybody?
He's like,
there's
you're
no
a
secret
superhero?
identities, man.
He's like, he's in his costume. He's like, "Hi, I'm Peter."
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. So we get he's up there in the ship, and then they land in it's Titan, right?
Yeah.
That they get to, and he does some cool stuff in Titan. Mm-hmm. You know, he saves the Guardians of the Galaxy from whatever they're floating or flying around in there, and they're fighting Thanos, and you know he's helping. He actually did a big part because wasn't he almost the one that took the gauntlet off?
Yeah, he almost got it off.
Yeah.
Right, and it was just an awesome scene, and he almost did it. And then we get to the disastrous snap. And then with the snap there, what you guys think of that ending for Spider-Man?
That was a lot.
Why do you have the longest death?
Well, they said because he's really strong, so he was feeling it. And that's why he said something's going on, or what did he say?
The spider sense.
I'm not
Well,
feeling
him and
okay,
Mantis,
Mr. Stark.
him and Mantis actually commented on it before they passed because of their abilities.
Right.
So his spider sense, which they've actually never referenced as spider sense, was how he can expect that he knew what was coming on.
Wait
Well,
a
they're
minute.
gonna reference
Go
it
for
in the next movie if
That's
you
a
saw
Peter
the
tingle.
trailer.
Yeah.
When Aunt May throws like a cucumber or something at him. You're
but,
talking about referencing
yeah,
the
but
spider
I
sense.
think they call it Peter Tingle or something.
No,
like that.
she calls it your tingle, your Peter Tingle, and he's just like, "Did you? It's not a tingle, you know."
But in Infinity War, I think we see the first time that he does
Yeah, with
You
the
know,
hair
the
stand
hair
up.
stand
the hair
Yeah.
stand up on his arms, and that was pretty cool because that wasn't in the first or second trailer there that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember everybody losing their mind because we never saw Spider-Man have those senses just yet. It just shows that he's growing more and more into the Spider-Man we all know from the comic books there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his death scene in Infinity War, spoiler alert, was just really crazy, and I think that sealed that movie because of how impactful it was insane in the theater because everyone was like, "What,
People were crying.
dude?"
when he
Because
died.
it was
he's a kid.
he's a kid, one, and two, you know, you could see how Tony was taking it also because Tony was like devastated at that moment. And we go from Infinity War, we go right into Endgame, and you can see the effect that it had on Tony.
Well,
Because
Tony
remember, he said-
felt
yeah.
Tony felt responsible for him because in the sense Tony took an interest in him and he brought him into the Avengers,
exactly,
brought into
yeah.
that world, and he put him in the line of danger. you know, as a child, and he is very much a child. You know, this time around we're dealing with an adolescent Spider-Man, not, you know, a Spider-Man that's about to go to college or something like that. So he's not grown, and you know, I'm pretty sure the Tony Stark guy, he wants him to develop. He wants him to. You know, it looks like the story arc that they were doing is for him to take over from Tony Stark. Remember, because that's why he had made the Ultron robots. Remember that his whole thing was that I don't want to always have to be Iron Man. Like the whole point is like we're trying to. What's the? And even when him and Cap were talking about it, what's our end game here, right? I think he even says the words end game. What's the end game, right? And he was very much. It seemed like he was grooming Peter to take over that mantle, and in that moment you could see like he's like, maybe I did too much too quick now, and now the kid's gone.
I think one of the most craziest things you've ever said when we were talking about the Avengers Endgame review, when we did that, was the first thing he said to Cap when he came off the plane when Captain Marvel brought him down from space. He said, "I lost the kid." Yeah, you know, and that's the first thing he says. Not anybody else, not what's going on here, not what's happening. Is I lost the kid.
He remember in Homecoming when he meets Peter after the ferry, and he takes the suit from him. He said it to him. He goes, if you get hurt out there, he goes, that's on me. And he said something like, you know, he goes, and I don't know, I wouldn't know what to do with myself if you were to get hurt. You know, and he takes that role like right there, and he said it out. So for him to go during Infinity War, you know, you can see like how much that affected him in Endgame. You know, having that picture frame of him and that necessity to get the kid back. Like, and he says it. He was like, I'm gonna get the kid back.
Right. Yeah. Right. Out because
I like in that moment though. Sorry.
No. Go for it.
That when he said that to Cap, that Cap shared it with him. He's like, "Nah, we lost the kid."
Right.
You know. I like that Cap didn't let him bear that all by himself.
Right.
That was really, you know.
No, and I was gonna say, Al, like, isn't the reason why he did the time travel thing was he looked at that photo in the cabin, right? It was the photo.
That's what convinced him.
Was the diploma upside down?
Yeah. Because it was like a staged photo so that they could explain why he was going to be working with Tony.
Right.
So it was like just to make Aunt May happy. So they like did it like impromptu real quick, and it's upside down.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, man. So from there, you know, if you haven't seen Endgame, I don't need to tell you, you should see it. Absolutely, you need to see this damn thing. Yeah. But we go.
Movies ever.
It's insane, and the payback to all the movies that we've seen from Marvel in that movie itself was just a reason to see this movie. But we're talking about Spider-Man, so we're gonna go all the way through a 3-hour movie and get down to the last hour there. And
that's 30 minutes,
dude. Yeah. So you know, apparently when Hulk did the snap to bring the people back, we didn't see it, but what happened was they all came back to where they were. And that's when I guess Doctor Strange must have known or realized what was happening, and he told everyone to gather.
Got on that group FaceTime like, yo, assemble the crew. Assemble your crew.
Everybody get together.
Yeah, man. So you see the rings come out, and in the first set of rings is Falcon, T'Challa, his sister, and the mom. And then you see somebody swinging, and Spider-Man swings on in.
You remember like how everybody erupted when Spider-Man came in and started clapping and everything? Yeah.
I like how the music was really dumb low too, like so you couldn't hear anything. You just called the kind of the rock is like, and then he swings in. You're like, ah, yeah. You know, so like I like that they dropped like all the sound out just so you could have that moment.
No, but it wasn't from their ring, no, right?
What he came out of one of the main rings.
He came out when
came out
Strange
time.
and
So Doctor Strange
when
came out,
Star-Lord, Mantis, he came out with them.
Yeah.
So
Black
he was
on the planet with them. Yeah.
And then he came swinging out. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That was off. Forget it. Was
now remind me.
And then when Tony sees him and he just walks right up to him and he's like, Mr. Stark, like, and Tony just like says nothing and just walks up to him and just hugs him.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, "This is nice."
Oh my god, man, it was so awesome, man. And I think he's the one who kind of also explained to Tony and to the crowd listening, of course, you know, he's kind of narrating to us that to him it was only like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
The snap was a 5-minute break from where they left off, and now they were there. And in this movie, in Endgame, Spider-Man does his thing again. We see what Kill Mode does.
Oh yeah.
You know?
That instant kill.
Right? And then he gets his hand on the gauntlet. Does he get someone give him the gauntlet, or he catches it?
I think he took it from Clint. I think Clint was going with it at
No,
first.
he didn't. No, Clint gave it to T'Challa.
And then it ended from T'Challa to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I think he lost it, and Spider-Man must have did the web thing for it or something, and then he was trying to run.
I think it was a handoff. He did it with the web. He grabbed it with the web, but it was definitely a handoff. I don't think T'Challa lost it. I can't. Yeah.
And then he got on the Pegasus with Valkyrie.
Yeah.
There you go. Amazing.
And then he handed it off.
I think he got
Captain
Marvel, right? That was the last thing.
Hey, Peter Parker.
Hey, that sounds just like he liked that one.
Hey, Peter Parker, got something for me?
I definitely feel like there's gonna be some kind of Captain Marvel like scene with Peter.
Yeah.
Just cause, like they're setting something up, like not romantic, but they're setting like a funny thing with that.
Yeah, man. But what's it called? From there, we get the whole thing happens. Spider-Man and everyone save the day. Well, after Tony saves the day, and with the snap, Tony of course ends up sacrificing himself for the bigger cause there. And with that happening, Spider-Man is he the first one that gets to him, or is it Rhodey that gets the first one that gets to him? I think Rhodey gets to him first.
Yeah, and then Spider-Man is like shortly after.
Yeah, Spider-Man comes in and he's trying to say to Mr. Stark,
we did it.
And then Gwyneth Paltrow gently, out the way, kid. Get out the way, kid. All right, this is my hubby, and
my time.
I got like 20 seconds.
Yeah. So we get that ending, that amazing ending to Endgame, and of course we have the funeral for Tony, and we're off from there. We don't really see Tom Holland after the funeral. He's there at the funeral, and then we just we get to the other characters, things that are going on, and this leads us now to our Far From Home. So from the 4 movies you guys have seen Spider-Man in right now, and from the trailers that you guys have seen from Far From Home, are you expecting anything in particular to see in this Far From Home movie?
I really hope, because Marvel likes to change things with characters, and whether they're a good guy or bad guy or who they are, I really hope that they make the Elementals kind of like our bad guys, like that we know from Spider-Man. Like, that water elemental ends up being Hydro Man, Sandman. And
so you want to see them actually be men that are them, or like?
I want them, because in the comics, the Elementals are a group of villains,
right?
So and they're not anybody's rogues or anything like that.
Yeah.
I really want Marvel to change that story for this movie, to make them, this is Hydro Man from the other Earth, this is Sandman from the other Earth, so that way we kind of get those Spider-Man villains from the Rogue Gallery into this movie. You. I think that would be really cool to do.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna be just those big monsters. I don't think they're gonna have an alternate form.
Yeah, they do have an ultimate form. Like, they kind of turn into from one of the storylines. They turn into that when they tap into their power, but they are like people. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that like when he beats them, they turn into like the person and ends up being the person who's Sandman.
Well, that would be cool if they do that.
That's
yeah,
what I want them to
my
do.
fear is that won't happen. That they're not any way associated with humans. That they're their own elemental thing. You know what I mean?
Because then they'll just be the Elementals from the comic books, and I'm okay with that. I just think it would be really cool if they mend that to be Spider-Man's rogues.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, because to me they're gonna come off more like nods. Like, hey, that's what Hydro Man's powers look like. So that's kind of Hydro Man.
Yeah,
I don't want that, but
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I really hope that ends up being like the Hydro Man from the other Earth. So like this is Hydro Man. I mean, Peter never had a wind-based bad guy. So I mean, that could be a toss,
right?
But like they had Hydro Man and Sandman, and I feel like that's the perfect place to put those people.
And Molten Man is supposed to be
Molten
the
Man, exactly.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like, I feel like that'd be the perfect way to do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be upset, but I really have my fingers crossed for that.
I hear you. And Son, anything from those 4 movies that you want to see kind of like applied, or like what's something you want to see in Far From Home?
If they're making changes to the characters and going off in their own directions creatively, I want to see them do something with Mary Jane and not just have her be an accessory, as she's been in every movie pretty much. Even Gwen Stacy was an accessory. You know, she played a big part of the Andy Garfield movies, but for the most part, she was just an accessory. Like, I would very much like to see them take the Mary Jane character, or MJ, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And have her become a partner in some way other than just the love interest partner.
Gotcha.
You know, because the fact that he has an Iron Man type suit, anyone can wear that. You know, look, I like the fact that they had Pepper Potts they developed her into a very much a counterpart for Tony Stark, and she was impressive in her own right. I mean, she was running the Empire. She had that keen business mind, and she gave Tony back as good as he gave as well. You know what I mean? Like, she wouldn't back down from it. And then when time came for battle, she put on the suit as well, and she went into battle fearlessly.
That was awesome. Yeah.
You know, so I would like to see them do something with the MJ character in that direction.
She's gonna call him out on being Spider-Man, right? That was in the
yeah, I
trailer.
think she is gonna call him out
in the trailer. Okay.
Yeah. So I would very much like that to happen.
How about you? I mean, with like, again, with these 4 movies, you got your Civil War, you got your Homecoming, you got Infinity War and Endgame. Where this story is going to, is there something you want to see specific, or is there something like, is there anything part of the story that you want to play out?
Just to show his growth.
Right.
Because obviously the beginning of the movie is him dealing with the loss of Tony, and obviously finding his way now without a mentor, because Tony was going to be his mentor into the superhero world.
Right.
And now that mentor's gone. So not only was he close the father figure, but he was also going to be the show me how this gets done, you know, so that he wasn't rushing into dangerous situations like he did in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they do his growth after this.
I would very much like to see them put the Tony Stark weight to bed, you know, and just let it be done.
Right.
That would, you know, because like Al was saying, that it looks like they're gonna start off with him carrying that weight and wondering, you know, how to move on now. I'd very much like to see that be put to bed in this movie, so that he can move on and start to come into his own.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, I think it's kind of the same thing. I want him just to be Spider-Man. I want him to be himself. So I like the fact that looks like he's creating his own suits now. Yeah. So he's using Tony's, you know, stuff to make his suit. That's awesome. But
he's
I want
taking ownership of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I want him to grow as that, because from here on out, we don't know where the MCU is going. Yeah. And I would like to see Spider-Man just be a better version of the Spider-Man he already is, be more mature and grow, but at the same time, he's still a high school student. So, you know, he still has time to develop and grow and be everything, but I want to see him on his own. I want to see him take on, you know, if Mysterio's a bad guy, if he's not, I want to see him take on whoever the big bad is for this movie, you know, whether it's the Elementals or something we haven't seen yet, which, you know, there's a lot that they haven't shown. This movie's about 2 hours long, you know, and from the commercials, from what I see, all I keep seeing is Mysterio helping. Yeah, I haven't seen the twist, or I haven't seen anything coming. So hopefully it's gonna be a good story. The reviews that came out are great for this movie, and they keep saying you're not gonna see some of these twists coming. Avoid all spoilers, especially the post-credit scenes. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I just wanted to know: is there anything that, like, post-credit wise, that you would want to see to let us know what's going on for Phase 4?
Better Ray Bill.
Better Ray Bill for Sanj. How about for you?
Maybe some kind of almost the same thing I wish that we had in the end game, like end credit. It was just kind of a hint or a name drop. You know, the name drop that I'm hearing right now is Norman Osborn. Yeah. So like maybe if we get a shot of like Oscorp, you know, just a shot of that alone gives you the hint that, oh snap, an Osborn's gonna show up and do something. You know,
I wouldn't want that necessarily in the post credits. I would more want that somewhere in the movie, like they go by a sign, a truck, or something, and you have to catch it.
Well, I think they did in Homecoming. No, wasn't some of the signs that said Oscorp?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
If they did, I didn't catch it. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. So I just want to ask just like a couple quick questions on this movie of like what you guys think we might see or might not see, and just let me know. I want to see if I could take a little tally really quick for
the lightning round.
Pretty much, pretty much. And we'll see who got the most right on this one here. In Far From Home, do you guys think we'll see J. Jonah Jameson in any way?
Yes.
Ooh, Brandon says yes.
I think we have to at this point.
Right?
Whether there's newspaper based or not, like the PS4 Spider-Man game, he was on the radio a lot.
Right.
He had a podcast.
He had a podcast. So like I feel like there's a use there. I think it would be really cool to just say his name at least once, or hear his voice complaining about Spider-Man, like Spider-Man, hero or menace. Like just that alone would make it great.
All right,
because at this point you've kind of had Spider-Man on his own in the city now that there's no one really else yet. So
yeah, you think so? Sanj, you think J. Jonah Jameson?
I would say yes. I'd like to see that.
All right, Al, you think J. Jonah Jameson in this movie?
I almost want to say no, only because they haven't. Because like we alluded to before, they haven't shown Peter as being a photographer. They haven't shown him have any interest in that. So if you're not gonna go down, he was a photographer, then you can't bring in Jonah Jameson. Because then otherwise, what's his involvement with a newspaper?
All right, I'm gonna keep myself out of this, so it'll be between you three there. Okay. All right. So how about this, Al? We start with you this time. You think Peter grabs a camera in this one? Maybe he takes a photography class or something.
I hope so. Or he takes a picture and somebody says, "Oh, yo, kid, you got a good eye," or something like that. Like something to allude. Yeah.
How about you, Brandon? You think he grabs a photo camera?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. From what I'm seeing from the trailers, it could be a quick hit and you miss it scene, like like when he takes.
I mean, they're traveling in Europe.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the whole Europe thing is he's spending a lot of time with either Hogan and or Fury. So I don't know.
I'm gonna put down no for you because it's either yes or no, man.
I'm gonna say no. I can't go in the middle. No,
no middle. Sanj, what do you think? He's grabbing a camera in this movie?
I think he grabs a camera in the movie because they like to go their own direction with the characters some of the time, but they do give the homage. The homages. And those are nice little things to throw in. So even if Jameson doesn't show up, then it would be cool to have him pick up the camera and someone like you said say, hey, see some of his pictures, like, oh, you've got a good eye, kid. You should do this. And then like just plant the bug, and you can see him go, maybe I can do this. Just see that bug plant. So I say yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, one of the things I got a question for, because the movie is super selling Mysterio is his friend, but we all know Mysterio's a bad guy.
Yeah.
What are the chances he is a good guy?
0. I think that's
good one, Al. Absolutely none. No chance.
I think that's the big twist that's going to be coming for the movie, because as far as a bad, they've done a really good job of just showing these, I guess, elementals as being the bad guys. So they haven't shown a bad. They haven't shown what brought them here. Like if they weren't here, so if it was this rupture that brought him here, then I can't see him being good as their twist on the story.
Gotcha.
I think the twist is that it's not illusion. Like he really has those abilities, because at one point he's flying.
He's not only flying, he's doing the
he's
freaking Doctor Strange magic too.
Yeah.
Things.
So I think the twist on the story is that it's not illusion, because I think in the comic books, it's all illusions. He doesn't really have those abilities.
Gotcha.
So I think that's the twist, but the twist is that he's conning them for whatever reason.
All right, Sanj, you think Mysterio's the bad guy or a good guy in this movie?
He's a bad guy.
Without a doubt.
Huh? I agree with Al completely, because that would be a very, very large departure. That'd be too far.
I'm gonna say no, just based off of the comic books and everything like that. It doesn't.
It's gonna suck seeing Jake Gyllenhaal as a bad guy, but because who doesn't love Jake Gyllenhaal? But
they just played that card with the Skrulls in Captain Marvel.
Right, so they're not gonna do it again, right?
Whether the Skrulls end up being bad in future installments is another question, but they just did that a year ago.
All right. And then the next one, Brandon, I'll start with you on this one. This next one is any nods to the Sinister Six?
I don't know. I'm gonna say no.
Dude, it's yes or no.
He said I'm going to say no.
I'm gonna say no, just because like they've given you 3 of them, but they haven't really given you other than the Vulture.
Right.
So like now we're gonna get Mysterio, yes, but like in terms of Scorpion and Shocker, we didn't really get those guys. Like they weren't really a threat. You know, Shocker was easy to take out. I mean, he killed the original Shocker and went because he had the outfit on, and then he gave the hand blaster to the other guy. You know, yeah, he hit Spider-Man a couple times, but like it was easy to get over when Spider-Man had his webbing.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Gargan as a Scorpion, unless they really give him the outfit and all that, he was just taken care of on the boat.
Right.
So like now you really have the Vulture and Mysterio. So I mean, can you do it? I really would love to see a Sinister Six.
Right.
I just don't think it's happening.
All right. Sanj, you think any nods to the Sinister Six in this movie?
Not in this movie, because I think that would be a little bit much.
Yeah.
With what they got going on, because again we're transitioning from from Tony Stark's death and how that's weighing on him, and then him coming into his own, and then dealing with whatever we're dealing with, the elementals, Mysterio, whatever it turns out to be.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that'd be a bit much. I think for this movie, I think, and that could be for the next movie or for the story down the road.
All right, cool.
Because remember, he's at the beginning of being Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
All
right. How about you, Al? Sinister Six nod?
I think they might, not all of them, but since they've already referenced 3, they may reference a few of the other 3 that they haven't. Because remember, Sandman was one of the original Sinister Six. And you have one of these elementals that seem to be similar to Sandman.
That's what I thought. He looked a lot like Sandman when he came out of a...
I would, if you're at the minimum, they may make a reference to Sandman.
Right.
And then as a result, Electro or somebody, as a result. But I think there'll be some kind of a reference. Maybe not so much. Well, they already, at the end of Homecoming, alluded to them coming together.
Right, I think Scorpion said something to Vulture. Yeah.
I think that was like our only hint, though. I think that was
it.
I think that was it.
Yeah. Right.
I would love to see in like the next Spider-Man. I mean, we were hearing about Venom coming into the mix. I would love to see an Electro.
Well, Feige said, didn't he say that
he said it's up to Sony.
Venom 3, that Spider-Man was going to be in Venom 3.
I don't think he definitively said. He just said listen, it's Sony's characters. They could do whatever they want with this. So he goes, I don't see why they wouldn't, or that they wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But that's assuming Venom makes it to a 3.
Yeah, right. We'll see. All right, man. And then I'll do a 5th one just in case of any ties there. Since there were 3 bad guys pretty much that they showed in Homecoming, we have Vulture, Shocker, and Scorpion. Any chance, not any specific one, but do you think we'll see any one of those 3 guys in this movie?
It's possible. I think you definitely have the possibility of seeing Vulture in some way or the other.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Michael Keaton to show up.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're going to get it, he's probably the most likely one, so that means they're probably not going to get it.
All right. How about you, Al, man? What you think? Do you think we'll see one of those 3 guys in this movie?
If we do, I don't think it'll be Vulture. Because didn't he seem to allude that he didn't want any part of that when they came to recruit him?
Yeah, he pretended like he didn't know what the guy was talking about. He's like, if I had known who he was, I would have did it myself. Right?
Yeah. So I think if we do, it'll be Scorpion, not Vulture.
All right. So you think yes?
In the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, I think before he leaves on his vacation, he may have one of the things that Spider-Man has to deal with.
All right. And B, you think we'll see one of the 3?
I'll say yes.
All right.
Because Michael Keaton's always devoted to like things like that and wanting to be a part of it for the fandom. So I think he'll show up as the Vulture at some point. Like not maybe in the costume, but just there.
Right.
Whether it's jail scene or not.
Yo, if I was Michael Keaton and they wanted me to play Vulture again, I would show up in the Batman costume and be like, "Oh man, wrong costume, guys!"
Comes back in the Birdman costume.
Oh man, you guys are crazy.
You
man.
really have fun with that. You know what I'm saying?
He's isn't this my Vulture costume?
Dude, I totally thought that this was the costume.
I got wings.
You guys are crazy, man. But what's it called, man? I mean, that's pretty much it for the Spider-Man recap and getting you guys ready for Far From Home. So we're gonna see this movie this Tuesday. We'll do a review for you guys next week. We'll do a spoiler, non-spoiler, real quick, and then a spoiler review on it, and we'll go over our thoughts and everything on there. So again, you guys, we always like to thank you guys for listening and to subscribing for us. Again, if you guys like, just email us. Go to our website, therealfanreview.com. Please don't hack us. We had someone trying to hack the site already. I guess we're making it now. Yeah, man. So anyway, man, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the podcast right here. We'll see you guys next week for the Spider-Man Spider-Man Far From Home review, and we'll get you guys the latest on that. Again, thank you guys for listening as always, and we're The Real Fan Review. You can find us on Google. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on iTunes, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're everywhere, guys. So thank you for listening. And we'll see you guys next week from Hav, Sanj, Al, and B. Good night.